Hi all, myself Kabir. I am a quality analyst with 8 plus years of experience in this field. So today onwards we'll be learning a series of JavaScript. So this is the first video in this series. So today we are going to learn the JavaScript introduction, which will be very much needed to understand the other topics of the JavaScript or JavaScript learning. So today's agenda will be understanding the web application first. Later we'll see what is client and web server. Then HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then later we'll see the JavaScript, how it came into the market, and finally we'll see the difference between Java and JavaScript. So next, first web application. So to understand the web application, first I'll draw a client machine and one server machine. So whenever all the web applications or web app are installed in the server side. So whenever any user wish to access the web applications, they have to open their browser and then request the web application through URL. So from client through browser over the internet, it will access the web application from web server. So common web application, we can say all the web mail, online retail sales, online banking, etc. So next, in client and web server. So client can be accessed. Client will access the web server or web application through different sources. It can be laptop, mobile, or computer. So it will ask for the information over the internet from web application, and web application will provide the response. So all the business logic which are written in the web application in the web server side, for that the server side programming language will be used. It is like Java, Python, C hash, etc. And for client side programming, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So we can say JavaScript is a scripting language in the client side, and whenever any user through URL access the web application over the internet for that client and web server. Next, so now what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? So we can say HTML is a markup language. So all the browsers will only understand the markup language like HTML, the HTML, or XML, all the markup languages. So in the client machine, this is our client and this is our server. So in the client machine, to access the web application, we open the browser and then type the URL. Then the the web page which will come into the web browser, it is like understandable by the user. So to write this understandable by the user, we use HTML. So we can say it is a skeleton of the web page. All the elements we write in the HTML language, using HTML language. And to provide the styling things like color, design, alignments, for that we use CSS. So we can see the HTML is the skeleton of the web. It is used for displaying the web application. And CSS is like our clothes. We put all the fashionable cloth to look better. So we can say CSS used for look to make the look and feel better and more responsive. Next, JavaScript. So JavaScript is like a very powerful scripting language, and it helps helps to create the dynamic nature to the web. So if I want to give one example, so whenever you click on the box, or if you click on the box, if it is giving some animation or giving some message that how that box has to be filled, those are we handled by the JavaScript language. So we'll learn next. So JavaScript. So more details about JavaScript, if I want to say, it's like high level interpreted programming language used to make the web page more interactive or dynamic. It is interpreted and executed in the client machine. So it is only the client side programming language, so it can be accessed only in the client machine. Used by default scripting language within HTML. Okay. So uh, now we have seen that HTML is a skeleton. HTML is a skeleton, CSS is a stylish factor, and then JavaScript. So there will be different file. We'll create HTML file, CSS file, JavaScript file. So where JavaScript is hosted. So it is hosted by the HTML. So inside the HTML, we have to write the JavaScript codes, also CSS codes. So uh, there, if there are, suppose if there are 100 operations we are doing, uh, and every for every operation, if we call the server, then there will be lot of load, right? So lot of things we can manage in the client side only some of the operation, only the other operation which is required to call by the server, that time we have to call server, or else rest of the actions or the logics we have to write in the JavaScript, we can write over the JavaScript to reduce the load on the for some operations. It is very client side, it is very powerful client side programming language which makes your web page more lively and interactive. Next, JavaScript is also a very case sensitive language, and it create a dynamic nature to the web page. So now, till now we understood that JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. It it resides inside the HTML, and it creates the dynamic nature over the web page. So whenever any dynamic nature we have to create, then we have to use the JavaScript, and it is a client-side scripting language. Next, let's say JavaScript history. So first JavaScript 1.0 has been created on 1995, and that time Netscape Navigator 2.0 browser was there. So JavaScript 1.0 was supported by that browser. Later on 1996, JavaScript 1.0, or we can say JScript 1.0, has been supported by also supported in the Internet Explorer 3.0. Then 1997, the JavaScript 1.2 has been like it started supported Netscape Navigator 4.0 and Internet Explorer. After that 98, it has changed the versions also, and after 93, after 99, it's like a history now. Without JavaScript we cannot even imagine a good web page. Difference between Java and JavaScript. So Java is a like object oriented programming language, but JavaScript is a scripting language, object oriented scripting language. Java runs on virtual machine or browser, but JavaScript runs only on browser. In Java, code is compiled before execution, but in JavaScript, code is interpreted, or we can say that compiled before execution. So over the internet, there will be JIT, just in time compiler, which will compile before execution. So Java is a static type checking and JavaScript dynamic type checking. That means, like, for Java, we have to declare the variable, like whether it is an integer or it is a character, that or a string, we have to mention statically. However, in JavaScript you don't have to mention upon the whichever how you are passing the data over the variable, it will be understanding by the JavaScript. So it creates the dynamic nature. So that's all for today. In next video we'll see more topics. Thank you.